So here we are, rolling. I thought I'd do a bit of a video because we're all bored to tears with the lockdown and we can't go fishing and what have you. I'm not a carp angler. I tend to do waggler fishing on Heatley, which is across the road there. And anywhere else I tend to go, the canal or wherever, Rixton. And a lot of people do seem to struggle with catching the silvers on Heatley. People often tell me that they, I go and I sit there all day and I don't catch any roach. Well, that's because a lot of them are doing it wrong. So the thing about Heatley and the silvers is that you've got to be patient. They shoal up. It's not black with fish like an Appleton Reservoir is, or Lim Dam even for roach and stuff like that. And you've got to be a bit patient, and you've got to find the shoal, and you've got to feed little and often. A few, 10 casters every chuck, or even 5 casters every chuck. Then a few maggots, and keep alternating it. Dead maggots are very, very good. If you're going to do dead maggots, freeze them, don't boil them. Stick them in a plastic bag, stick them in the freezer overnight, bring them out, let them defrost, and then they're pretty good. Although they don't fire as far as live maggots in your catapult, that's another thing. But as far as roach fishing on the Mere is concerned, float choice is actually pretty important. I see people using wagglers that are way too big. The tops are way too big. They're not sensitive enough. You can't see those bites. And what I think the best thing to use is are these. These are Drennan's glow tip antennas. These are actually the modern day version of a Stillwater blue. So the old Stillwater blues, they used to be painted blue, and they used to have a long cane insert, and these have got a polycarbonate one, I think now, or something like that. And I think the body is still balsa, but the tips are very flexible now, and they don't break as easily. And you also get 2 different colour tips. You can have the tip red and then yellow underneath, or the tip yellow and then red underneath. But the good thing about these is there's so much stability under the float with this body. So if you've got a bit of a chop on the surface especially, it means you can also cast it quite far because you can get the weight on there. But these long tips are so sensitive that even if they're shotted to here and they're sticking out a mile, you'll still see those roach bites. Now, of course, you do want to dot it down. You want to bring it down as far as you can. But you will see the bites, especially if you're fishing on the drop, which you should be, because they will feed up in the water, especially as we come to the warmer months. And these are just fantastic. I always fish them with an adapter. And actually, Drennan idiots anyway. When you buy them in the shop, it's never got the eye. It's never actually got the eye pierced through. You'd have to push it through yourself. They're always painted over. So I always put an adapter on. And out there, if I'm chucking about, I don't know, 15 meters or something like that, I'd probably use maybe a 4 BB or a 5 BB float. Will Raisin, the world champion, he says always use a waggler that's bigger than you think you need. And I think that's actually a pretty good tip. You can cast it further, then you can draw it back and sink that line. But I tend to find on Heatley 4 BB Drennan glow tip antenna, absolutely perfect. Cast to about 15 meters, wind back about 3, fish at about 12, and just fish on the drop. Put most of the bulk under the float, and then string out some 6s or 8s in diminishing size down towards the hook, and always use a swivel as well. Always use a swivel to put your hook link on to stop line twist, especially if you're using double maggot. It can act like a propeller when you're drawing it in and twist your line up. The other ones that are good for across the road are the Drennan crystals. These are all loaded ones. The good thing about the Drennan crystals, I don't know when everyone's used these, is that you can swap the tops in and out. If fact, let's find some good examples. Let's find a good example. Is that the black one? No, that's not the black one. Where's the black one? Let's just pull that out. There's the black one. So for example, if I'm fishing with red or yellow and then the sun comes out really bright, you can take these tops off and you can swap them in and out. You can put the black one in on the float that you're using to change colours if the light condition changes. So they're really good. I really like them. They're really good. The good thing about the crystals is if the water's pretty clear, obviously they're translucent, so they're not showing up in your swim. The loaded ones are really good, and they're quite sensitive. I always tend to use an insert unless I'm fishing a big bait. If you're fishing a big bait, then use a thick top one with no insert. Peacock. Peacock is good for holding corn on the bottom or pellets of meat and stuff like that. They're really good. I have another section over here. I keep all my floats in a tube, all banded up in to the different scenarios. So these will be canal greys, good old-fashioned canal grey if I'm going on the cut or somewhere where I don't want a lot of float showing. They're nice. But again, the glow tip antennas are fantastic. Quick mention in dispatches, these are pretty good. These are the Shakespeare MAC XT insert Wagglers. The only thing I don't like about them is the bottom. They're not very thin for putting adapters on. I tend to put them on a swivel and then load the swivel onto the line so that if I want to do a change I can just unhook it from that swivel. But again, these have got different coloured tops, so red and yellow. And I have some that I've coloured in black with a marker pen. So depending on the light conditions, you can put yellow in, or you can put the red one in. And if you colour some up with black Sharpie, you can put a black one in. So they're pretty good actually, and they fly really well, and they're really sensitive. I've used these on limb dam to great effect. When roach fishing, you just get a little bit dotted down, you'll see every single bite. They pull them under really easily, and they fly really nicely. So that's my tips really for getting the best out of catching the silvers across the road. Feed. You've got to feed. If the shoal's not there, you need to find it, and it will come around eventually. They will find it eventually. Fish on the drop. Let them come up in the water. Let them start getting confident for the bites, for the bait. And everything should be alright, of course, until a massive pike comes along and ruins everything, and then you have to start again. So that's why often feeding two lines is not a bad idea. So yeah, none of this massive, huge great peacock waggler sitting huge baits on the bottom trying to catch roach. You're wasting your time. You need to go light lines, £2 reel line. 2.5 Maxime I usually use, £1.5 bottom, size 20 hook, single maggot, double if they get confident, caster when they get confident, and you'll catch silvers. You'll catch silvers over the road. Use a match approach, and you will get them. Okay, so if anyone else wants to upload a video to try and get us through whilst we can't go fishing, please do. Carp anglers, stick your favourite lures on there. Pike anglers, stick your favourite lures on there. Let's have some hints and tips. Yeah, get those subs in, and as soon as we're ready to go, we'll be back out there. Okay, cheers guys, bye.